Welcome back, everybody, to 42 Days of Magical Practice. We're on day 26, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about Qigong and the importance of a physical practice. So not just Qigong, but yoga, any type of practice that incorporates breath and movement. And so when we were planning this conversation, we had, we've been kind of planning it out, mapping it out, and it was a little challenging because I think both Brian and I agree that it's one of the areas of energetic practice or magical practice or spiritual practice or whatever that gets neglected a lot. And certainly, like you said last time, in the Western esoteric tradition, it's like been completely forgotten. There's no corresponding practice as there is in Taoism or, you know, some of these other ancient traditions. But I guess the way that I think we should get into it today and start kind of, you know, delivering the real importance and richness of having a physical practice is, you know, one of the things that I've noticed about you spending a lot of time around you is that you very rarely run or move in a way that is erratic or rushed. Every time I'm around you, I think one of the most powerful things about your presence is that you tend to be very calm and very graceful. I mean, yeah, you joke around and all that kind of stuff, but you know,
I was just gonna fall off my chair.
Yeah. But most of the time, it's like everything seems to be fluid. Everything seems to be graceful. Everything seems to be easy. It's almost like you have a lightness and almost an effortlessness about what you do and the way that you move. And I've always found that to be really inspirational. Like, I want to move like that. I want to be like that. You know, I want to feel like what that must feel like. You know, I don't know, maybe I think that's like the best jumping off point I can make to this. Maybe you can comment on, like, you know, how that ties into a spiritual practice, how that ties into, you know, being able to have like this energetic practice that produces physical results in your life. I mean, you know, because and again, it comes back to the idea that, you know, when we're trying to manifest something or create something in our life, the primary thing that we're changing is ourselves, right? We're not just trying to, you know, produce $1 million or whatever, like, bing. It's like, we know that famous Gandhi quote or whatever, be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Right.
You have to physically transform yourself. So is not an aspect of having a physical practice the ability to be flexible enough that you can transform yourself to transform your life, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely appropriate. And you know, and let's state it a little bit differently. I mean, one of the best ways to mimic that, like, a lot of people do mental rehearsal, right? So we mentally rehearse being in that space, you know, having what we want, you know, trying to put it so real that it's as if we already had it. Right. From the gratitude part to, you know, envisioning what we're going to do at that place and how that's all going to be, you know, a wonderful life and all of that. But it's like, do we have the discipline to do that on a physical level every day? You know, can I change my physical life? Can I change my physical body little by little every day? Do I have enough discipline to do that? If I don't have enough discipline to do that, what makes me think that I'm going to be able to take some mental attitude and change it into some kind of physical creation, right? It doesn't make any sense, really. In the end, it doesn't make any sense.
And that's one of the things, though, that's so, I think, appealing.
It's prevalent as an idea.
Yeah. Well,
nobody's asking the right questions. That's the thing. It's nobody's saying, if it's a principle, how does that work? You know, how do I transmute one thing into another? How do I transmute energy into physical cash, or a home, or a better job, or a loving wife, or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it doesn't, or health. You know, how do I translate that? I mean, health's probably the easiest one to deal with, right? Because it's It's your physical health, you
Right.
know, hopefully mental health too, but we've done a lot of mental things that will help in that vicinity. But how do we actually change our physical structure? If we can't, you know, if we can do that a little bit every day, it gives us just a little bit, a discipline to do it every day will show us that we're getting closer and closer to physically feeling better every day, more energy, looking better, feeling younger, eating the right things, doing all those things because we desire to do that, because we see the end result is good for us. We like what's happening. We like the change. And as you get, you know, as we use that as a model and then we move toward, you know, our creation goal, we're going to have that smaller model. If I can do this with my physical body, which I haven't done a lot with, then, you know, little by little, piece by piece, a little bit that I do every day is going to move me toward this ultimate goal that I'm looking at as well, right? And so the reason I started all these things and I'm using all these exercises, mental exercises, energetic exercises to move me toward that goal and actually doing things to go in that direction, right? But this is where the rubber hits the road. Can I use that same mental attitude, that disciplined attitude, that Spartan attitude in some respects? I mean, nobody's saying you got to beat yourself to death, but the idea is that you have to do something, you know, and it's important that that physicality comes out for so many reasons. I mean, you know, to engage in a magical life, right? You need to have some sort of stamina, right? I mean, you know my schedule, you know, I mean, more or less, I mean, not exactly, but there are plenty of times when you're keeping odd hours for whatever reason, you know, whatever you're doing at the time, whatever your practice is at the time. You know, how many people can go to sleep at 11, get up at 2, you know, to do something for an hour, then go back to bed, get up at 4 to go to work, you know, and it's not every night. I'm not saying that. And it's not like I'm a super being either, but the idea is that if you don't have a physical body that will be able to handle something like that, how are you going to progress? And if you can't progress with your physical body, how are you going to progress in doing this practice to create something better for yourself? There's a disconnect there. And so the bottom line is, if I can do it even in small amounts and see the physical change and correlate that to small amounts of work, energetic work and physical work and doing to create something better for myself, a better environment in whatever place I want, then I have that correlation. And as I physically get better, I'm going to be able to transition into that other creation better too. They're gonna sort of follow tandem tracks, right? So that's the idea. I mean, there's so many other aspects of it, but it's just that part. It's looking at it. This is your physical conditioning is like a microcosm of the big picture. And if I can do it with this, then it can happen on this scale, right? It's just scale. That's all you're looking at. You know, we scale business practices, we scale all of these things, you know, if it's this, we start out small, then we go here, you know, but we have that idea of the end result. And each one sort of mimics, it's just in scale, it's a fractal. The next one is bigger, the next one is bigger, but it's made up of all small increments like that. So if I can work on this thing that's with me all the time, if I can work on this that I have control of and I can work with and make it better one way or the other, and in different ways, and make it smoother, right? I mean, you talked about smoothness of movement and I'm falling off my chair or whatever. So, but it's the idea is that it's not all smooth, but it helps me when I stumble. When I do stumble, I recover, right? I'm not wiping out. I'm not breaking my head. I'm not breaking, you know, an arm or a leg. And it's just like, it's a counterpart to these things too. Yes, you're going to stumble in different places. You're not going to be able to do certain things, or you're going to break your schedule. It's okay. The only important thing, I don't care when you break your schedule. The only thing is that I care that you get back on schedule. The only thing is that you come back to it. So your practice, yeah. So, you know, your flexibility and your smoothness of motion is a conservation of energy. It's a conservation of energy, so that when I need to apply it, I can apply it.
Talk more about that.
It's the same thing. Not always, which is kind of funny in my case, not always speaking to excess, not always, it's conserving every aspect. It's not always eating, what I want. It's eating what I need at the time, and knowing what I'm eating for. Like, I have different things that I eat when I'm going to do certain practices that I've learned over time that affect me in a different way. So I stay away from certain things. Even if I might desire them, I stay away from certain things because I know the end result is not going to be adequate for me. So it's a conservation of energy. It's moving smoothly is a conservation of energy. If you watch, any Tai Chi, Qigong, I'm guessing yoga masters as well, they move smoothly. They're like dancers, and not just in their practice, but in their movements in life. And the idea is that if my environment is a complete reflection of my subconscious, and if I'm consciously moving smoothly all the time, and that's congruent with my subconscious, my external world is going to move smoothly as well. I'm going to move smoothly through it. So it's going to move smoothly around me. I mean, that might be a little bit of a stretch, at this point, at this stage, for most people. For some, they totally get that concept. And so, but the idea is, how can you express it? How can you prove it to yourself to be true? Only through the physical practice. There's no other way to do it. There really isn't. I mean, we can intellectualize this all we want.
Right.
But, how do you embody it to make it so? To prove it to yourself one way or the other, That's what we really want to get. That's what we want to drive home. And that your physical motions, it's not just breathing, and eating the right things and drinking the right things produce a better physical body. Your physical body moving in the right way or embodying a certain posture can actually change the neurochemistry in your brain to affect your physical being. I mean, we've always known that to be true, or some of us that have worked in this industry have known that to be true, if we want to call it that. But now they're actually scientifically, proving it to be so. Right? They can look at it as an objective observer and say, holy crap, it was Amy Cuddy, right? She's on TED Talks and a psychologist from Harvard. So, having women, strike the Wonder Woman pose. So fists on hips and standing tall, back straight, and just sort of, being in that command position for 2 minutes, and then measuring their blood before and after, obviously. And so they have a baseline. And measuring and finding out that, after 2 minutes of just being there, in that pose, yeah, stimulated a 20% increase in testosterone and a 15% decrease in cortisol, which is, testosterone is that, not just aggressive, but let's say active hormone. It makes you want to do things. It does create some aggressive nature too, but, some of us need that impetus to get us moving.
Confidence.
Yeah, confidence, all of those things. And cortisol is the major stress hormone, right? So when we reduce that, so it's sort of like, not only are you just raising one up, but it's like this. So the gap is even wider. It's like, 2 for the price of 1. It's like, you're not even doing anything other than striking that pose, and it's imprinting on you and causing your neurobiology, your neurochemistry to change. And that cascade effect is actually producing a chemical effect in your body, which produces a physical effect in your body.
Right.
So
we're talking about kind of this power posing example or whatever, but again, it's that how you, moving and practices like Qigong that combine breath and movement for this smooth, graceful kind of experience. What's the neurochemistry of that?
Right. It's basically, again, the idea is that reducing cortisol levels, we know that. I mean, it's reducing stress, there's no doubt about it. But the idea is that it's actually engaging you in a smooth motion through life, smooth transitions from one thing to another. Again, mastery is in the transitions.
Right.
Anybody can strike a pose. How do you move gracefully from one pose to the next pose?
Right.
How do you move gracefully from, being in the car and driving to getting into your office? How do you move gracefully from going from the office to home?
How do you move gracefully from beta to alpha to theta?
Exactly. It carries through on every level. Again, it's like microcosm, macrocosm.
Right.
As above, so below. So again, as below, so above, right? So it's that constant feedback loop that's just enhancing every aspect of what we've already gone through and what we will go through in the future. So it's such a linchpin of all of these practices. I mean, it's been so difficult to actually come up with an idea of how to, without just shouting it out. This is really important. You need to do this.
Right.
Just do it.
Yeah.
It's to actually try to bring across how important and why is it important.
Right.
It really is. I mean, I really feel, strongly doesn't even convey. I mean, it really is a critical aspect in your practice and being able to do your practice at a very, at a high level, which I'm assuming everybody here wants to do.
Right.
I'm only putting this out for the people that really want to do this, that they really have a need, a desire to really want to bring this to the highest level. So in that case, a physical practice is critical for the success of your magical practice.
Right.
And that's the bottom line.
So if we want to put something into practice today, what are we going to do?
What did we say we were going to do? We said we were going to, because the first one was basically...
it was the exercise.
It was the exercise, the spring force, right.
Yeah.
So this one, I would say, it's bridging the gap a little bit between classic... it is an embodiment. Let's use a modern term. It's embodiment, right? But if we look back, what is embodiment? It's using a posture to emulate something, to bring on not just the feelings of that, but now we know to bring on chemical changes in the neurology and in the physical body, the hormone structure, all of that, to produce a physical effect.
Right.
More energy, more aggression to jump in there and get something done, and a vast number of other things. So, and not needing to know what the exact really, really complex chemical structure is going on up here to produce that effect, as closely as possible. But just pick a picture or an idea in your mind.
Within the context of what you want.
Within the context of what you want, right? Yeah. So if it's health, look around on the internet or find magazines of, get a health magazine, get anything, and find somebody that's in a pose that, just to you, regardless of what it is, it's only important to you, that exudes health, that just looks like, wow, that person just looks healthy. They're physically fit. They just, everything, their whole aura is health, right? So, and then just strike that pose, with that idea, this is health. And I'm embodying that for 2 minutes. Use the same parameters as, the Harvard psychologist. 2 minutes of that pose. Do it every day. 2 minutes of that pose and see how that changes in your life, And then as you walk out, just notice, be hypervigilant. How are you feeling? Are you feeling healthier? Are you making different choices? Are you able to either physically do something else, or, making better choices with food or drink or whatever it is? How is it progressing into your life? And does it seem to be coming from somewhere else? You're not forcing yourself to do it. it's not that part of it. It's got to feel like it's literally coming from someplace else. Yes, it is you, but you've started this cascade, starting from your neurology and moving through the body. So your body desires to be in that place. It's again asking your own mind those open-ended questions to promote, what does it feel like to be healthy? What does it feel like to be in a completely loving relationship? What does it feel like to be, have a very fulfilling spiritual connection, whatever that means to each person, or use your own words, and see what that's like, And again, it doesn't have to be, it can be any minor aspect of that too, right? So we talked about that. Like in the past, we would have used, like if I wanted to feel more powerful, I would, from my culture or whatever, I would pick the animal that represented that, whether it be a bear or whether it be a tiger or whether it be whatever. If I wanted to feel more power, I would find a picture of that or have a mental image of that and be in that pose, whatever it is, and hold that pose and embody that idea as much as possible of that animal, that very powerful being. And in the end, again, like I said, we call it embodiment, but basically this is an old technique we called assuming the God form, right?
Right.
We would envision, an entity, a deity, of our choosing, and sort of entrain to that and sort of put ourselves in that place and sort of be as if we were that aspect of
I think
them.
a pretty great indicator too. I mean, this is a great litmus test for, it's like when you go to do that embodiment exercise, it's like, how uncomfortable does it make you?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, because I mean, if you tell most people, stand in the Wonder Woman pose for 2 minutes, they're going to go, they'll be like ridiculous. And then when you do it, they're only going to make it about 20 seconds before they start giggling or laughing or, or they're off the track, or this just feels weird. I'm not doing that. It's like, that's the whole thing. It's like that discomfort, that, not being comfortable with being uncomfortable, that comfort level there, that's got to be, one of the major indicators that you're sort of pushing the boundaries of yourself.
Right. And again, too, it's like if the premise that all of this is based on is that our exterior is a perfect mirror of our interior, it's like, can you take 2 minutes to do something that neurochemically is going to change your interior state? It's like, do you have the impetus to do that? And how much do you believe that your exterior is a reflection of your interior, enough to be like, to do something that's awkward and seems stupid,
Well, and I mean, I would challenge people to think about it this way. If I said, strike the Wonder Woman pose, Dustin, for 2 minutes, and I'll give you $10. Most people would laugh just like that, and they'd be like, hell, it's $10. I'm doing it. All right. I don't care. There you go.
Do it on camera,
it's like,
right?
And that's,
yeah.
But how much easier is it to see that, to do it for something so, relatively mundane,
right? For
most people, obviously, for some people it would be a lot of money. For some people it would be just, a kind of a silly act to get something out of somebody else, to challenge them on that. But but to know that it's changing you, neurochemically and hormonally in your body. I mean, how many men say they want to lose weight, they want to exercise, but they just can't get off the couch, and they want their body structure to change, and weightlifters, bodybuilders, I mean, at least in the past, would have used all kinds of, anabolic steroids and all these things to boost up their testosterone, to boost up all of these, aggressive hormones, to build more muscle, to lose more fat, to do all of these things, right? So, but if somebody said, striking this pose for 2 minutes every day will give you that flood of chemicals naturally to be aggressive enough to say, that's it, I'm going to the gym for 10 minutes. That's it, I'm going to the gym for 20 minutes. And as you start to see the changes, it gives you even more confidence to go and do something. And just keep it moving. Once the momentum is there, once you see change, it's not hard to do it. You see the end result, you know, it's like, it just happens, right? I mean, that end result is so important. The confidence is built on consecutive results, you know, consistent consecutive results. You know, you want to see that. And when you do, you're just going to continue to do the same thing or build it out even more. Oh, if I work more, if I stand here for 4 minutes, Brian, will you give me $20? If I do 6, will you give me 100? You know, so it's like, you know, I want to see consistent results. And so, and when I see that, you know, it's not going to be difficult to continue. Yeah. The results are important.
Yeah.
So, but you have to do it. You have to try it in order to, you know, there's got to be, somebody has to start first. You know, you can look up all the information, you can find it online, you can find it on different websites, all of these things. You can go to TED Talks and see the results. I think her name was Amy Cuddy, right?
Right, I think
so. So if you need outside verification, which I highly recommend, do that. But once you see it, how much is enough information before you actually do something?
Yeah.
Put it into experiential knowledge. So that's going to be the, you know, the point that's going to be best for you. Information is just information. And even, you know, that idea that knowledge is power, I think that's bullshit. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge applied is power. Experiential knowledge. Things that you've done and applied, that's power. You know, power implies that you have to put it to use. You know, it's not something that just stays in your head. You know, that great idea that never comes to fruition because you've never taken one step toward its completion. You know, it's always just remained a thought.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, you know, doing it, do it. You know, you're going to get the results you're looking for, or you're going to know how to course correct and come back online to closer to your target. It's so important.
Yeah.
I don't know. How's that?
I thought it was good.
For all that mental, in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's been hours we've been batting this back and forth.
Yeah.
So,
so hopefully it worked.
Hopefully it worked.
It all came together.
That's right. That's right. So, that's,
cool.
Yeah. Start from that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Embodiment.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
I like the physical parts.
I know you do.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think, and hey, we'll see you tomorrow.